Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Being 6:30, we'll call to order the Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Westminster Select Board. Any adjustments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to acceptance of minutes, June 8th, 2022.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes, June 8th, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. And thank you for doing it. Communications and public comments. We have Mark Anderson with the Sheriff's Department to talk about the contracts for the upcoming 23.
Correct. So there's actually three contracts.
Yeah.
Two for 2023, or what I'll refer to as 22 to 23, and one for 21 to 22, so present, which is the animal control program that we engaged in back last July. And the reason why you're getting that contract now is because I just got it back from my attorney finalized. So what we've been doing on the 21 to 22 contract is my office provided the service to the town of Westminster. The money was budgeted during last year's town meeting for the regional animal control program. Once the agreement was, once we got the contract, then we would submit our invoice for the services rendered as well as the contract itself. So you're receiving the present year's service contract. So really it's dotting an I and crossing a T for auditors. And then the two upcoming contracts is to continue the regional animal control program. So that's July 2022 to 2023, and as well as our law enforcement contract, which it was communicated to me prior to Russ's departure that the town was reducing the funds for the law enforcement service to $60,000. So that reflects the rates based on $60,000. It also will change the relationship that the town currently enjoys with the town of Putney. So we'll basically service the two contracts independently as opposed to joint. So those are really the high points of changes. I'm happy to answer questions about the contracts if there are any.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head if we have months that are still owed to us?
That's one number I do know off the top of my head, no. So back, I can't quote the month, but we can find the records if it's important. We did refund 1 month's worth because we were behind due to a shortage in personnel.
Okay.
As of today, actually I can't say today, but relatively close to now, depending on whatever work was done today, we have about 40 hours remaining on the current contract. So that will be burned up by next week.
Okay. Has the help situation improved?
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
on one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. So beginning in April this year, roughly April, I was full staff. And while I say full staffed, we had some new hires that were not fully qualified, so they've been in training, some of which have been completed that training and are now fully qualified. The problem being more so to the entire operations of what the sheriff's office does. So within our patrol side of the house, we are full staff there and in good shape. Where I have extra demand is, you'll probably see us on the interstate assisting with traffic control there. We're up on Route 9 in Marlboro assisting with traffic there. Due to shortages across the state, we're supporting other sheriff's offices and municipal police departments across the state. So what I need is seasonal help. I need people who want to have a part-time job, and I can probably use about 10 more. That said, I'm in pretty good shape in comparison to other law enforcement agencies. My full-time staff is full. We're actually looking at creating 2 more full-time positions, but that shouldn't have any effect on the town of Westminster.
Last on my end, I know previous, you really don't, or just people in the public have said that you just don't see the sheriff's department around as much. And I know it was some staffing issues and some things like that. And I just want to make sure that that stuff has been corrected as much as it can be. I mean,
Their perception is always an important piece. Certainly we can provide the town with. Oh, Mr. L. We lose audio?
You're okay.
You did. I lost my train of thought. We can provide records of tickets that we've issued that can be correlated against what the Judicial Bureau has. So there's a check and a balance there. As part of our monthly reporting, we provide the roads that we were traveling. If for some reason we weren't present, so let's say this week, I'm making this up completely, this isn't a true story. Let's say this week there was a trial that involved the deputy who was working Westminster. It's a Westminster case. They might not be physically present in town, even though they are working on behalf of the town because they are there to testify. So things like that do cause work to occur outside of the town. Our preference is that they are present here anytime they are working on the contract. Because we want the most visibility. One of the things that we anticipated, but maybe not fully to the degree that we saw it, was the exchange with Putney and Westminster. And so while both towns received the services based on their contracts, the problem is we might come to Westminster, be here for 15 minutes, and an emergency happens in Putney, and right away we leave. So during the morning commute hours, we might be missed, and then we come back later in the day when people are at work. So there are a variety of different factors that could play into it, but without knowing any specifics of issues or concerns, I don't think it's an issue, but I'm not aware of any specific concerns.
So if you look at the safety record for 5 in the village and School Street where the school is, right? What would your opinion be of that? Let's say over the last 5 years, you've been there how long?
17 years.
Okay, over the last 5 years, let's say. Any major accidents on School Street between school and 5?
Without looking at the data, I couldn't tell you.
What about the speeding, the speeding?
Yeah, without looking at the data, I couldn't tell you. I don't have eyes on at this point. I cover 15 towns in addition to a variety of other things. So I no longer have without preparation for a meeting, I no longer have the ability to quote that off the top of my head. My supervisors could do that. If you'd like to bring them in, I could do that, or
not necessarily. I was just curious as to, considering the increase you would agree that there's a dramatic increase in volume in traffic on both of those roads over the last 5 years.
I have no basis to agree or disagree. You probably see it better than I do.
Well, I do. So I'm just pointing out, as a taxpayer, we are paying money for augmenting our public safety, not just crime, but certainly traffic volume, which is an instigator, an increase to both accidents and people getting hurt. That's all I have to say. I would be very interested to see that at some point. But other than that, I mean, I appreciate everything you do. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So you would like, so I can follow up, you would like crash and speed data on 5 in School Street?
Correct. I mean, where the school is, in particular, that
Sure.
where 5 and School Street meet, you know, it's a very tough area, especially when people are moving too fast.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We can generate that report easily.
Thank you.
In the past, service was actually, when we first started out, we had really great service because you'd come in, your sheriff would check with Allie, the town manager, to see where things were happening, what was going on, whether Chuck had a complaint about a road or For example, what's coming up is they're gonna close the bridge in 121, so now you're gonna get a lot of traffic. So there's two parts. One is, are you going out and patrolling areas that really we don't care about? If we're not, and the second is, we used to see the report, maybe you're giving to Ally, I haven't seen it, but it used to be like a time clock, when we'd see that you worked for 2 hours on the back Westminster Road, or 3 hours on that day on the Westminster West Road. I assume you're still turning in, but I've never seen one. But I would think that with summer coming, we always had problems out in Gageville down by the Eddies. And, you know, if you talk to Chuck or Ally, they would actually tell you, so at least be nice, at least once a week that you checked in with them, that if you were gonna go patrol, that maybe they would have some input of where you should go.
Yeah, so some practices came to a complete stop with the beginning of COVID. And so identifying what those processes are and restarting them, that sometimes is putting fingers into the dam. We're trying to find the different leaks to cover, but if that's not happening, then it should be now. A lot of places, schools asked us, even though they were welcoming to us, they asked us not to come in, and so now it's kind of piecemeal. What schools do still want us to come in, what schools don't want us to come in, town managers, town halls. There was one town hall where they said, we're still closed. So we're still trying to identify what an acceptable practice and comfort level for places are, but there's no issue with us being able to stop in and check what issues are. I will say, what we have seen is a shift in call volume. State police covered the town. In addition to us, we provide a supplemental service. We've been picking up more call volume because they are short on staff. So there has been a shift where we're answering more call volume, which requires us to be at someone's residence or business or whatever that may be, which takes us off of the roads that we might be accustomed to being seen on. So,
Which is not a problem. We don't necessarily want to sit there and pick up speeders. It's more of being a help to all the residents in this town.
And then your final question or comment question, I'm not sure what it was, but I'll speak to it. We do still provide those logs. They come, so there is electronic access that we can provide the town. Russ had that, and so I would imagine that he received if you saw it, you would receive it through him. I know that things have changed, so this is just yet another thing to identify. I just identified 3 other towns who they've had personnel move on and no longer had access. So it does come in a paper copy with every invoice that we send, but we will.
I'm not blaming you. I just know that we used to get it. So if I ran into a neighbor, why didn't they ever? Well, I see that they were there on Thursday a week ago, you know, and we would actually see, you know, or some people sometimes were complaining, they're always over here. Well, not really. They were over here. And it's just kind of nice to be get the right information out to the people.
And I can even provide a report, so I'll include this with the 5-year data, but I probably won't run 5 years of this. I might be able to, but I can run a report of locations where incidents are occurring, so you can see a transition over time of what's happening and what's increasing, what's decreasing. So we can provide that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? All right. I think we're all set at this point.
Thank you for taking me first. Pleasure to
No
see
problem.
you. And if you need me to come back, I'd be happy to.
Great, thank you. Anything else under communications and public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to unfinished business, conflict of interest policy.
Move the table.
Fair enough. Table, conflict of interest. So we'll move on to cemetery wall update. Chris Potter.
This is just a quick second here.
No worries. Thank you.
I thought instead of clogging up the road, standing out in the heat or the rain or whatever it might be, I just had some pictures made of the different things.
Okay.
So basically, I'll just summarize the top portion there where it says the rough specifications. You've all seen it before. So I measured out approximately 60 feet to the right, sloping down from the tomb from 7 feet high to 3 feet high. and then it's approximately 350 feet in the other direction, going north from the tomb.
First, you want my help? Want my help?
Yeah, if you want to hold it. So everybody's seen the wall. I don't really know how much good these are, but this is the current wall. Looks pretty rough. And I think, as you said before, most of it's sloping towards the road. For a wall that's been there for 30 years, I think it's done pretty good. It has this, heavy dirt load behind it to hold on to it. So that's the first one. And then this was the thing that surprised me, because I've been in and out of that cemetery a million times, and I never really even noticed what the tomb looked like.
You never went in there?
No, my dad. I actually asked my dad. In 60 years, we've never been in there.
Nobody's ever opened the
Nobody's
door?
nobody's been in there for 60 years, as far as he knows.
If somebody was still there.
You never
That
know.
can't be good.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
So this, I kind of had not even paid attention or forgotten. But if you look at this style, these are granite blocks, basically, with a little carve out in them. And they look just like the decorative blocks that normally people use.
Right.
So really, if you went ahead with the decorative blocks, it's actually going to look pretty nice, and it's
Yeah.
going to match
Yeah.
pretty well. And then the other picture I have is just part of the walls falling down. So I just came up with a quick little thing here. These are just some points that I wanted to check out with you guys. First, I was thinking for community input that I would put a little article with some pictures together and try to get it into either the Shopper or the Westminster Gazette or both. Maybe put a little article questionnaire type of thing on the website. Allie said they're working on trying to get that straightened out. I guess there's like three options for the wall, as far as I can see right now. One is the decorative blocks, the big blocks. Another would be replacing the stone wall as a laid up stone wall. The third would be, I walked up and down it, and I don't know if you could fix a couple of the spots that are all falling in, and get another 10 years. Those are just questions I had for you guys. How do you feel about it? And coincidentally, it works out pretty good that we got besides the 4 select board members, we also have the 3 cemetery commissioners right here. So we set that up pretty good. Another question I had would be traffic control, during the construction. Is that something that the town would take care of, the traffic control? The other thing is, would the bidding, when it got to the point where you're talking about bidding or the job itself, would the town be involved in any part of the construction work? That's just for you guys to think about. Whether we'd be like contracting out the entire job or. And I don't know if this is feasible, but I know that they sell rocks everywhere nowadays. So I also thought possibly if the rocks were taken out, if those could be resold as part of the money to fix the wall, if they could be taken out and resold. So those are basically the questions that I have in a nutshell. You guys have them all written there. I was just, taking into the last considerations for a new wall. I think we need to think about longevity and durability, the style and appearance, the time required to build it, and which one of the options is the most cost effective for the taxpayers. Other than that, I don't really have anything else. If you guys want to just look that over and see what you think, I think my first step would be to at least try to get some input from the taxpayers.
Does it make sense at all, if we decided to go, let's say we narrowed it down and we decided to go with a decorative block, can you do like a section of it 1 year, so you're not hitting it all at once? Maybe go from one section to the next year, you do it a couple more sections?
Yeah,
So that the town could help out a little bit more, not be such a big project?
Yeah, the 60 feet that goes from the south side of the tomb
Right.
to basically the entrance of the cemetery, that might be a good spot to actually just look at it and have people can say, oh, geez,
Right.
I'm thinking, like I said, I've been by that tomb a million times, and I never even looked close enough to see that it would actually,
It would match.
it would match the
Yeah.
blocks actually, better.
If we did just that, people would, like you said, they would see it, they go, oh, that either,
Well,
Yeah, they do just say, oh, I don't know why they did that, or they
I
say.
do have 2 leftover blocks from a job I did that you could set them there and somebody could, you know, you
So,
look at
yeah,
them
put
or
them, maybe put
whatever,
them on the end or something and just
Yeah.
say, this is what
compare the two.
we're thinking about, yeah. That's pretty much where I came to as far as that goes.
Yeah.
You guys just wanna look those over and see what you think, and let me know which way you want me to go, we'll be all set.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris, appreciate it.
Really great.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Good job.
Anything else on cemetery wall? Chuck?
I just want to suggest that if we decide to do it that way, let's say in sections, that we buy all the block at once, so that we don't risk having it change color or be different as different batches get made. I'm just saying that down the road, if that's how it goes.
And maybe at the same time, we could, give a little time to apply for grant money or something, just in case there's something out there, you know?
Sure.
Anything else on cemetery wall update? Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Moving on, Route 121 bridge update. Chuck and I met with the state engineers, the project manager, and the contractor today. And the plan that is, the 60-day closure plan is out the window at this point. There's some pretty substantial structural rot in the steel. They were talking about, there's like 3 options, I guess they're kind of looking at, which the first one is really, the plan now is not a plan. There's
So
no-
that bid that we actually, that the state got is not gonna work?
It's no good.
Really? That's amazing.
It's amazing that 4+ years in this planning, and
Yeah.
we get to this point, and now we find this stuff.
And we almost doubled their price when they came out, well, I said, well, at least they're gonna get it done.
Well, the numbers they're talking right now are staggering.
And so they don't even, originally they offered us for $100,000 out of our pocket, they would build an alternate bridge, a temporary bridge. They threw, I mean,
What they're talking right now is deck removal, which you got to remove it anyway.
Okay.
Repair is not the word. Rehabilitate the steel that's there. There's 300 and something rivets on each side of that bridge that take a half an hour to do each rivet. You can't even get the rivets right now.
1,800 total.
It's an astronomical amount of time and labor to rehabilitate that steel that's there. I have pictures, I just didn't have time to.
And no guarantees how long it's gonna last after we do it.
so they could just put new ID, what you're talking about.
Well, that's the second option, is to deck removal and completely remove the steel and start over. The abutments appear to be good, but steel is a 1 year out right now. And what they're talking is, no matter how you go at this point, it's like a 12 to 16-month closure.
Yeah. No matter
Regardless.
what they do, it's gonna be closed for, they said plan on 16 months, 12 best case scenario, but plan on 16 months after it's
Do
done.
we have
closed.
control
No
over it? Are
matter
they gonna
what
go
they
ahead and
do.
just do it, or?
They have to engineer it still, they have to design it still. They'll provide us with the options that they come up with, and then it's gonna be a crazy, they're talking
Couple years.
like 12 million bucks
Really?
total, like a lot of money, like a lot.
Well,
We're,
that's-
we're what, 5% of that?
We're 2.5%.
2.5%.
But look what a truck costs,
It's a huge amount of money.
terms.
And don't quote that number, because they were throwing numbers around like,
Oh,
but it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
So the contractor that bid it, got it, now standing there going like, okay, what do I do?
Renaud bid it and got it, and upon starting the project, there's sections that there's no steel left. The bridge, the concrete's jacked like 3/4 to an inch above the steel from the rust.
How the heck did they miss that?
I have the bridge report right here.
I don't know, I believed it, it was like,
no,
Again, our figure that is what, 2.5%?
2.5
2.5.
right now. So the bridge report
What's that come to, Kevin?
On $12 million is $300,000,
Which,
So if it was 10.
which is not the end of the world considering the amount.
But it also, they said it depends on, so right now, we're in the construction phase. This turns it into an entirely new project.
And then we're gonna go back and have a long argument of making the bridge wider, which
Right.
everybody wanted to.
Nope, we're sticking, well, I shouldn't say that. We talked about that, but all the iron is ordered for the deck. It's already ordered, it's already sitting there.
Okay.
So
that would be.
cost-wise, it'd make more sense to stick with the width that we have. We already have the steel ordered, it's sitting on the ground.
Oh, I thought you didn't.
Nope, it's the beams. That bridge was built in 1940.
But what good's the steel if the beams are no good?
No, the rebar is what I'm saying. The
Oh.
rebar in the
It's
deck
all
is
pre-cut,
ordered,
it's all
bent,
pre-formed,
it's-
ready to go for the deck.
it's done.
So you don't want to reinvent the deck. You just want to put new.
It's the superstructure below it. that is.
The I-beams that.
There's-
That's the big one.
There's 3 spots that have been patched, like literally just, it's
Big
sections
hole right
missing.
through an I-beam with a piece of.
Stuff a piece of
stabbed
steel
on the
over it.
Side of it and welded.
It isn't like we hid it from the state. They came in there and did the whole evaluation.
So-
The paint that they put on 10 years ago, all that paint, you get underneath it, it's starting to fail.
It's bare metal.
So now they're talking, just to repaint what's there, say we decide, okay, we're just gonna go cheap out, we're gonna try to fix what we got, it's $1 million just to paint what's there.
It's pretty, whereas the new steel comes, apparently, I don't know how they do this, but it comes ready to go.
All
You don't
treated,
paint it,
ready
you
to
don't
go
touch
on,
it,
and
it's set it in place. So in 2014, they inspected it, the state, and it says the deck will need replacement in the near future, steel painted in 2012. So you go to 2016, bridge should be considered for a full replacement within the next 10 years. Bridge deck was reconditioned at least once and is showing signs of progressive deterioration. Bridge steel configuration is non-redundant type and has corrosion issues and is not recommended for salvage. In the interim, the pavement at the joints needs reconstruction. This is 2016. 2020, bridge is in fair condition.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if we leave
It
it
makes
another
no
5
sense.
years,
These
it'll be
make
new.
no sense.
It'll fix itself.
Unfortunately, I was on the board the whole time, and just like what you said, we were under the assumption that this thing is gonna be replaced, and then all of a sudden they came over overnight and just said, hey, we looked at this is not that bad, we just need to do this. And I kept going, what happened to it being in bad shape?
If you climbed under it, and I'm sure if we called them, we could, they'd meet us and climb under it. That deck right now basically is floating. It's sitting there. There's no pins holding it. There's no, it's just there. When the truck goes over it,
Oh,
it moves
sketchy.
a lot. It moves a lot.
yeah.
So
So-
how long before?
Uh,
are they gonna-
We're really in a holding pattern right now until they come back to us with their options, and
So what are we gonna tell the voters when we had these signs up saying it's gonna close?
the signs are already off.
Yeah.
They shut them off last, whatever they.
Well, so it was already in the newspaper today, I guess.
It was in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Round
It was
over
online
foreman.
They made
yesterday or
it
2 days ago.
they made a pretty clear case that they didn't see it until once they started ripping up the deck, then they could see in what was buried. That's why they didn't know.
They did a
Obviously, they knew something in 16.
They did a core sample of the deck last week sometime, a big core, right on top of the girder to see, and it's
The shot from there.
it's no good. And that steel apparently is old steel, and it's not designed to be welded, it's supposed to be riveted, which just adds a whole nother round of mess to it, so. Right now, that's all we got. We're in a holding pattern until they come back to us.
Are you gonna close the bridge?
No, they're gonna leave it open right now.
Want to leave it open for now.
Chuck and I talked to him about continuing to move forward. 16 months is 16 months, no matter how you slice it, whether you start it now or you start it later.
You got no choice.
Pull the deck, pull the
Not our
steel,
decision.
and get it. No, it's not. That's the thing. We can't only push so hard because we're only paying 2.5%. So if we were footing the whole bill, we could do how we wanted, but we're kind of at their mercy, I think, at this point.
We could build the road too around it. My mother was telling me that the covered bridge was right to the left of that. When they put that bridge in, they had to go down next to 91 and come across the covered bridge. We got a road there,
Yeah.
less than $10 million.
They were kind of trying to put it back on the town, saying that the town didn't want an extended closure. for any longer than 60 days, and that the town didn't want to spend any extra money to go to really do it, which nobody wants to spend any more than they have to, but it's pretty
They were the
obvious that
same-
thing's pretty
They were the same one, remember that if we dug and found any artifact, that it would stop the project and we couldn't go any further, and they were saying, do not put this temporary bridge up, because once you dig, you could find something, so they were even the one who encouraged us.
But it's, you lose your funding. If you go with the temporary, you gotta pay for it.
Yeah, that
It
added a
was
huge amount.
$100,000 at the time, it was gonna cost us.
Well, back, so now,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
So we'll wait to hear from them.
Yeah, the other,
so any,
we have another bridge, Butler's, that's gonna need work at some point, the other thing is, if they did the rehabilitation of the steel, they were very hesitant to put a life expectancy on that. Hey, you want to touch this for 30 years. They were very hesitant to put a timeline on that. The new one, no question, no problem, be 80-year bridge, no big deal. So I'd hate to cheap out, and I realize it's a lot of money, but cheap out, and then 10 years down the road, we're back there again, doing something else, because that's
it's gonna get.
the engineer and the contractor said 10 to 15 years on a repair, on a rehab. The state's saying 30 to 40.
yeah, they were conflicting.
The other two were kind of arguing with the state, so
But
I'm not.
the two pillars are okay.
The concrete looks like it needs very minimal work.
That's what the contractor had said, was he felt like the abutments and the pillars were fine. And he said, even down the road, if you put a new superstructure and a new top line, let's say 20 years from now, you decide you want to put a new pillar in, it's not a big
If you
deal.
look at the ones they're fixing on 91 right now,
Yeah,
they look like Swiss cheese compared to these ones. There's literally there's only one little spot. The rest of them they look like the day they made them. I mean,
and
they're
they tell
really
us
good
that that
shape.
can all be repaired easily.
So,
Right.
So having the bridge right where it is, with that, it only makes sense, just continue on, there's nothing else we
Yeah,
can do.
Renaud was trying to really push them to
Move forward.
design steel to fit what you have and move ahead, so.
They could
we just-
already be getting the deck off it, getting the steel out of there, and
Right,
doing
well-
the cement repair, so when the steel did land,
Oh, so they're
they're
gonna
ready to
start,
set it.
We don't know that. We,
No, well,
We don't know.
that was a discussion we had. The state hasn't made a decision yet.
it's still gonna come back to us approving our 2.5%. We have to still sign off on
I would
the
think
state,
so.
right? Kevin, when we were here before.
Yeah.
Right, we had to sign off.
But
I'm
another-
not sure we have
another
much of a
thing-
choice in this matter.
No, but.
No, it's,
Still, they're not gonna proceed until they actually come back to us and say, this is what it is.
they're not gonna
That's
proceed with
true.
anything until they have it engineered,
Right.
rough numbers figured out, and what we want to do, because we, at the end of the day, we own the bridge, so we're the customer.
So we wait.
Anyway,
We are in a waiting.
another concern is that put it all back up to bid again. Now it'll be a whole new, if they kick it down the road further enough. Right, so that would be a whole nother
And Mike Renaud seemed very willing to
work.
do however, so. But that's where we're at with that. It's not good, but it is what it is. Anything else on 121 bridge update? So I guess, Ally, at this point, if people call, we'll just have to tell them we really don't know. But it's not gonna close.
It's on hold for right
It's
now.
on hold for now, okay.
They had mentioned August if they were gonna start stripping the deck off. So I would think you've got at least a month where we're
Okay,
just gonna be as it is.
that's fair.
It's on
What are
hold
you
for
gonna do?
now, yeah.
Yeah,
And I see you did, Chuck, you did a pretty good job of getting back Westminster Road ready.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, we still got some work to do, but yeah.
But still, you did a good job,
Yeah,
looks
that's-
a lot better.
all right, so I guess we don't need to table that, we can just, we'll deal with it as it comes.
As it goes.
All right,
I wonder if we should write something in the Gazette about it, though. It's good.
Well, it's-
the state was supposed to email within a couple of days a statement of where they were at, so I think we would hold off until we have that from them.
hold on, it's too
Yes,
late
I have
for it to
deadline
be
Put it on
done.
the
tomorrow
website,
anyway.
that's gonna be the quickest way.
Yeah, I think he was gonna send it within 24 hours, we just saw him today at noon, so.
That deadline tomorrow.
All right, moving on to end of year financial projections and actuals.
Well, quick end of it is, you've seen the budget. You've seen, this isn't an actual, it can't be an actual because we have another payroll and payables.
Yep.
As of the 30th, but, a rough estimate would be probably another 25,000 coming out. Highway department looks good because they've probably got 100,000. But if there's a bad thing that happens,
Give
that's
or take,
nothing.
yeah.
We have maybe 60 to play with in the budget. The only factor that I have is that we paid too much to the Westminster school and the high school. So we will have $61,731.64 coming. The check's in the mail.
In the mail.
Yeah. So I looked it over. As you know, we had to go over budget to pay out the manager, and we had to go over budget to pay Demrick. And I mean, Chuck did the best he could with getting reimbursed for issues that we had for the highway department. And the best thing I can tell you is we don't owe anyone any money. So we're starting out fresh, and
Good.
we did, 3 major events in town that created where we're at.
Mhm.
So probably next year, you folks won't be going to voters in March stating, we have all this money that we're gonna reduce taxes for. Probably not next year.
Well, I was gonna ask you, I'm still a little confused. We, at town meeting, got permission from them to move the 350 out of this year to go into wouldn't be this year, it'd be the following, the next year, the year coming up to go forward, right? The 350 was the payoff on it. I'm a little confused, where did that 350 come from?
That was surplus from the
Yeah.
previous year.
Yeah,
Right, did we move that?
it's done.
And we've got reimbursement coming from.
We have reimbursement still coming in, but we also, just so you know, the ARPA money, we're good for the town, but the Institute is such a special situation. Yeah, the village, I'm sorry, I always go with the Institute, but they didn't have a SAM number, they didn't have a budget because they just don't, and they had no minutes for meetings. So the ARPA people might be taking, the treasury might be taking that 40,000 they gave us. They made sure we didn't spend it. When I talked to Katie Buckley at VLCT, of course we didn't spend it. They might be taking that back instead of us getting the additional 40. Jim Matthouse, his hands were tied. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah, we don't have the records.
Yeah, there's no records.
Right.
So it is 40,000 is better than taking the 400,000, right? So it is what it is.
It is.
We tried, and we still have everything ready to go. Katie said maybe something could happen. We're ready to report. So
We're also gonna have that culvert on the end of School Street that we're gonna have to, which will be in 23, but, not 23 budget, we're gonna have to deal with here.
Thank you, Ally.
Anything else on end of year financials this time? All right, move on to highway garage fuel tank replacements. I don't know if anybody saw this. I apologize for not having it in the packet. Chuck and Jason Benson solicited 3 different prices on fuel tanks. We have the money in 23 to be able to do that. We're going from an 8,000 diesel tank to a 3. And we're going from a 3,000 gas to 1,000. They're above ground tanks. We could move them if we needed to, if something changed with the garage location or whatever. This isn't really the way I wanted to do this, but I think it's gonna make the most sense. I'd like to purchase the tanks, get them installed, usable as phase 1. Phase 2, remove the tanks that are there, certify the holes clean, tanks are clean, and be done with that. We've kicked this for a year and a half. They're 6 to 8 weeks out to order them, so, to get them from the time you order them. So I'd like to, they are over the 15-day estimate, which is why I was looking for 30 as a not to exceed, because I know that price is gonna change a little bit, I'm sure.
We contacted an insurance company to see if they're okay with it.
With what? Above
Have
ground?
above ground tanks, I assume.
Oh, they're a whole lot more okay
I'm
with
assuming-
above than in the ground.
I'm assuming so, but I was just.
They're double wall tanks, they're state approved. Your insurance company's not gonna be happy with the ones you got in the ground now, if they don't.
Well, I guess that's one question.
Yeah. no.
Oh, he's just asking, have
We
we
would, yeah.
contacted the insurance company before?
I don't
We
know.
did contact the LCT a year ago when I first started this, and this is the third time I've done this. Remember,
I'm not against
no,
what you're
I'm
doing,
just explaining it, yeah.
just
We
call me LCT,
contacted
tell
the
them this is
state
what we
and
want to do.
VLCT about using above ground tanks and making sure that we had the proper ones and they were certifiable and all that. And then,
We should have their
and then we
info.
didn't do it. So now this is,
These are hard tanks. You could call them and send it to them. If they say yes, okay, I just feel a little better.
I agree.
Do we want to hold off purchase until that time, till we get an okay from them, or authorize the purchase, but not actually purchase it unless we get it okay?
Pending the,
Pending an,
Agreement of the insurance company. I don't have a problem with that, as long as the insurance
Fine.
company doesn't throw a red flag up. Let's put it that way.
okay,
So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve up to $30,000 to replace the 2 fuel tanks that are in the ground at the township, and that we get approval from the insurance company on these 2 tanks.
from, is it Safeco, is that how you say it?
Safeco,
Safeco,
I guess.
Safeco
staff, yeah,
staff.
Yeah, I think it's much, right.
staff bill.
That'd be an answer tomorrow. I have an answer.
Oh, no, that,
Okay,
I said this the first time I've done it, I know.
so we have a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Is there any other discussion at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna recuse myself since I did do some of this legwork.
Oh, wait a minute, if you did,
Well, I just don't think it's right. I don't know if I need to or not, but I did do some of the legwork with him, so.
Well,
you're the commissioner, so I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, okay.
legwork
Or-
is different from getting it
Or I'll
done.
vote aye, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm good.
Actually, I'm more comfortable you did say aye, because you're the one that's, you're not personally doing it like she's.
I'm not doing any of it.
Right, so, yeah.
That's 4 ayes.
Yeah.
All right, the ayes have it. Let us know or take care of it.
I'll tell them tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Town managers report.
I'll be real short. So every year, May 30, the town clerks have to send out notices for bad dogs, fugitive dogs, and they did that. And they went from 266 unlicensed dogs as of Patty working Tuesday. More people came in today, down to 192, so that worked. You have, Jason, the list of dogs.
Mhm.
I didn't think you probably needed to know the dogs. but-
Oh, Jason got that many dogs?
Jason's got the list of dogs that
Well, you
are
can make
bad.
that
are bad in
193,
town.
because mine's not
So,
licensed either.
They asked me to do that report because Pauline couldn't be here. And I don't think you, I can tell you what Jason has in his packet for signatures for you folks, if you want me to do that now. Or you
Yes,
want to wait for,
no, that's fine.
okay.
Nope.
So Sullivan Powers, it's our every year that the select board has to sign off for confirmation of service for the end of the fiscal year. So the select board signs off for those services, stating that, all that, we'll follow the rules, and we'll all get it done. And then the other is a letter of intent to participate in fiscal year 23 municipal roads grant and aid program. I gave that to you, Jason, as, I'm not sure who's road commissioner. Yeah, I think Chuck and I talked about it.
I think until the term interim changes,
Okay.
then
So I
I'll
think,
sign it.
so then you sign, and then there'd be a secondary contact, which I believe should probably be Chuck.
Yep.
And then there's the annual financial plan there for town and highways that needs to be signed off by, I believe, should be you as well, Jason.
Yep.
And we are working very hard to get the trash tags out. I'm helping as much as possible, stayed late today, and Pauline has stepped up, Patty stepped up, where we will have them in the mail by the beginning of next week.
Great.
We had a little glitch, we ran out,
Of tags?
but they should be here by end of week.
Okay.
The guy's really good, he hand delivers. I don't know how that happened. I don't know that it's ever happened before, because we usually have an excess. But that's what, we're working on, and day-to-day stuff.
Yep.
You guys ever have any questions, just let me know. Trying to keep it nice and quiet.
Right.
So I think that's all I have.
Ally, can I get a copy of the Sullivan Powers?
You absolutely sure
Thanks a
can.
lot.
Do you want me to email it to you?
That would be fine, if I have a chance. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Ally, what is this Westminster accounts payable?
Thank you.
Is this just showing that the loan was paid off
Yes.
in
If
full?
you folks gave me the permission to do that.
Yep.
I had Katie transfer the funds.
Yep.
But to get all the Ts crossed, the
You
Is
just
dotted,
sign.
sign that warrant, please.
Okay.
So we're debt free.
Yes, you are.
Who was the exact one?
You want to start, Thomas?
Can I trade in my trash tags for my dog being legal?
193, or 4 now.
Tag on your dog.
Just a reminder, I'll have to stop. by.
Would all of you like a copy of that? I can do a loop email if you want.
That's
No?
fine. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Okay. You gotta read it, you gotta study it, you gotta know it.
I just won't print it, don't worry about it.
This
Gotta write it in.
grants and aid program, I'll sign it, and you can fill it out. However else the other
I'm
information.
gonna get that. You check it out.
I'll do it.
I don't have that other information, so.
Community event.
Good
I
job.
think that's all I have.
Thank you, Ally.
Any questions? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
I really won't put
Anything
anything
else?
else.
What was on that further information?
On what?
Grants and aid?
It's just your, SAM number,
Yeah, I don't have that.
but
I can get that.
I guess the rest of it's just address and email and that kind of thing, so.
Yeah, it's nothing I need.
So if you wanna put them in a pile, I'll grab them
Yep,
and take them downstairs, and Chuck meets me in the morning anyway. So
yep. I'll sign these while we're going. Executive session, I don't think we need that today. Boards, committees, and commissions. I don't think we have anything for that. Other business. Dan's here for other business. You want to just tell us what you
Yeah.
got going on and,
Basically, my land at 300 acres, the back part of it, I think it's about 1,200 feet, borders Windmill Hill Road, where it's a class 4 road, where it's not maintained privately or by the town. So there's a section from the north that, I don't know, probably 800 feet from where the town stops maintaining it. So there's a bunch of houses in the Pinnacle parking lot, and then it turns to a pretty tough trail. And then, it's about 400 or 500 feet, you hit my property. My property goes almost all the way down to the south end, almost to where the last house is. And I'm not sure if there's a town turnaround there, and then there's a little bit of privately maintained trail. So anyway, we're doing a current use, we have to keep up with our current use plan. We're doing a thinning in my sugar lot and on the property back there. I got 25, 30 acres. To try to take the wood all the way down is almost ridiculous. And I've got a break in the wall and a place to land it on top, and I just want to be able to go out through, I was hoping to go the south way, but there's just too much cost to putting gravel on the road, fixing it up. If I go north, I just had to redo one culvert and 3-4 loads of gravel, and I'm good. We just trimmed some trees. So I started, when I talked to Russ a couple years ago, oh, you're okay to do whatever you need to do. I just happened to look this weekend, so I'm gonna be real transparent here. And I noticed I'm supposed to ask the select board, give you guys written permission before I start. I did start a little bit, I got one load of gravel in there, and I lowered the culvert that was there.
What is it?
So,
It's the class,
yeah.
class 4 road and
He
trail.
sent it
I
with
see, I
his-
gave you, I
yeah,
gave
I-
them one, yeah, I put it in the
All right,
envelope.
all right.
So basically, when you look at that, the state basically has made up these rules in the class 4, and everyone has it's a public right of way, you have a right through. You guys are basically supposed to rubber stamp if I'm gonna, have a reasonable thing for forestry, which is what it is. We're gonna have about 75 cords of wood and a couple truckloads of logs. And the guy that trucks my firewood's a small truck, it's a 5-cord truck. So he buy the firewood. We're just gonna go out that side. So we need to add another load of gravel or two. And also, the trail going to the south is really rough in a couple short spots. There's some ledge that got washed out. And we need to get down there with my tractor and bring logs up to use the trail to bring it up, because I can't get it. I can get into my property, but I can't get back up over the ledges on my property. So we're gonna have to clean up those 3 spots on the ledges. And according to the state, I have the right to do it. Just a little aside is, no one has the right to block the road. The people at the bottom have blocked the road on the south end. They've got logs across there. We have to turn around, come back up. So I just, I don't want any issues with them. I want to make sure I have the permission to do this. Technically, it's for forestry use. That's pretty much it. So we just, on the north end, it's pretty clean. The guy that owns the land most of the way up from the last house is Zach Weinberg. And he's all for me doing stuff so he can get into his land too. So he was pretty happy. He's in Costa Rica right now. So that's basically it. It's about 600 feet up in there. Most of it's hard, it's fine. There's just a couple spots that were really low.
Did you have something else?
I just was, Chris has been super helpful with a lot of stuff with TRV and
Yep.
this.
Yeah.
I just got a quick alert from Chuck the other day and sent it off to Chris, and I didn't even know this was on our website, but it's pretty handy. And,
You're looking, all the towns basically have the
Yeah.
same thing.
but it sounds to me like he's improving, making it better than what it was.
Oh, yeah. It's beyond-
Yeah.
And with that kind of property, he does have to do his current use. I know that from being town clerk, he has to go in and out in a year, right, in a
Yeah.
year. And, but I think it sounds like he's doing a good job, and he's not.
I have no problem.
Chuck's
And he is-
been there,
and
he's
he's
seen
being
what I
transparent.
started, and then I said I better stop until once I figured this out. Actually, my
Yeah.
sister texted me this stuff
Yeah.
on the weekend, and I was like,
So,
okay.
I think,
We're responsible
I
for
was,
any
I
bridge because of
take it
liability.
on, I don't know.
Chuck's been
Yeah.
there, he knows.
Yeah.
So as long as he's not screwing.
Is there any bridges or culverts where you're?
The only place there was a culvert, it was all lifted up and rotted out, and we had an extra culvert, we put it in there, it's an 18-inch one, Chuck saw it. We just basically took that one out, put it in.
Okay.
And, it goes, where we were, it's Zach Weinberg owns both sides of the road, and then it's my side, and then the Pinnacle Association owns for a while, and then there's a land trust. But most of that whole land is my land. And it's nice to get some access and be able to get into the back. It's a real pain. It's over a mile through my property.
Culvert ain't a bit of a problem.
It's pretty rough.
I mean, that was the only thing we ran into, others where we had to actually close the class 4 road down. If there's a bridge or a culvert and there's a liability, someone could get hurt, we're responsible as a town.
Yeah.
And so
I
that's
think
why
Chuck
we have 2 roads, one was going into Putney, the same thing, was like, let's just close it off, even because let them go around it, but we're not responsible for a bridge, so.
Yeah,
As long as
it's,
you're doing, sounds like you got it.
yeah, it's really good.
According to the MRGP, we're responsible for fixing bridges and culverts on class 4 roads.
Right, that's what I'm trying to
So
say.
close them, keep them passable.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And if you look at the
Is the
state
culvert
laws-
work that was done adequate?
Yes,
Okay.
according to your class 4 policy, the work shall be done in strict accordance with specifications established by the road commissioner in conformance with this ordinance. You've got a 3-page. ordinance.
Basically, you're echoing what I've been saying, we've been all along, it's like, as long as you're just going down the road, but the minute they get to a bridge or a culvert, then the town has to be involved.
The only thing is, Also, according to your zoning bylaws for the town, any roads coming on or off a class 4 road, you've got to get an access permit. And it's more of
Are you sure about
Formality.
that for agriculture or forestry?
Yep.
Still-
you can't
But
just
if it was
scab a
an-
road up in, you still gotta
Yeah, well, this road is
maintain
there.
proper practices as far as, putting in water barriers and
Any-
proper drainage.
Any road access permits would come from the road commissioner. On a class 4.
Right.
Right?
So it
Well,
was-
What if it was an existing, it's already an existing,
That road was already there?
no, oh yeah, we're breaking the wall and right into my property, it's been there forever, it's at the top of the
At the
hill,
end of the day, though, it's,
yeah.
Right, you're
it's
gonna
it's
get,
a form and a minimal amount.
Yeah.
And if it means
It's just a
a neighbor's
formality.
not
Yeah, that's
gonna,
fine.
and the
It's
reason.
more than
formality.
anything.
I'd rather have all the formality and the T's crossed, because my issue
Yep.
will be, there's a couple people at the south end. But obviously
100%.
put those
You,
logs and they don't want.
you fill it out and I'll sign it as soon as you get it filled out and no big deal.
Yeah, we don't wanna set precedents.
Matter of fact, you got more of a
Just
permission
down
to
the
do what
road.
you're doing than it is for somebody.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
block
yeah.
it off.
You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah, no,
singling
no,
one person out.
I'm good with signing whatever.
Okay, yeah,
Let's do
fill
right.
it out and I'll sign it as soon as you get it done and
That's on my page.
no problem.
Great,
I think,
terrific.
so I think, so you don't really, yeah, we're good, I
I
think.
think, is it saying here, you guys need to give me written permission or just permission? You know, 'cause it's written-
Well,
I
yeah,
almost
you're
wrote
supposed to
something
have-
up and was.
Well,
gonna
actually, you're
sign
supposed
it.
to have a written proposal.
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
They'll have to, right.
We can actually put it in the minutes, because we
Don't
wanted
do
to
that.
actually make approval that we give them permission to go ahead and
Okay,
do some
That's not,
repair
yeah, we
work.
probably should.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay,
I've seen it.
motion
I've
that
read
we-
it.
Okay,
Highlighted
well,
everything.
no,
Permission to do some road repair work on a class 4 road.
That's-
Based on this.
I read it 2 times.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a
I saw there's
motion
something
to,
about remove wall. We have to move wall.
so we have a motion to grant approval to Dan Crocker to be able to improve Windmill Hill for his use, well, not, to be able to access his land, according to his written request. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Just get the
Yeah, I'll get the
thing
form
out
of
and we'll get it
access.
done.
Thank you.
Anything else under other, oh, yes. Other business.
One other thing, there's a couple trees that are leaning in there. If you look at it, I'm supposed to get permission from the road warden to cut
Tree
any,
warden.
tree warden. I don't know who the tree warden is.
Mark Lund.
Mark Lund.
Mark Lund, okay, so I'll talk to Mark. There's just a couple of dead beech that are hanging in there that,
Okay,
yeah, we won't get under them.
okay. Well, you'll take care of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just tell him that, that's all I need to do. That's all
Okay.
it says.
All right, so you should be all set?
Yep.
Other business, approval of Juneteenth day for the personnel policy. Pauline brought this to my attention last week. It is a federal holiday. Town Hall did take it off.
That worked.
Okay, some did, some didn't. Either way, we need to add it to.
So
the
moved.
Chuck and the crew.
Personnel policy.
It's a paid holiday.
It is a paid federal holiday.
Could I add to that, please?
Yes.
Because the town crew did work, and the town hall employees did not work.
Mhm.
I would like to ask the select board to grant them maybe a floating holiday because of that.
So moved.
I got no problem with that. So we have a motion to add Juneteenth to the 19th to the personnel policy. Do I have a second?
You don't have a choice, do you?
It's a federal holiday.
Not really.
Second.
No, I thought one time we get to choose how many they honor, but I just,
I don't know that.
whatever.
So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Ayes have it. And we have a motion to allow the highway department to have a floating holiday. How do we word that?
The highway crews always had like a different contract because of violence. As long as they're keeping track of it.
don't have a problem with it, if they work it out amongst themselves, and
I'll tell
So
Kelly.
moved.
I'll tell Kelly it'll be a floating holiday, they just have to note it on there.
Me and Jason and I already discussed it a little bit before, so, yeah.
We just need to add it to the policy.
correct.
So moved, as long as it's added to the policy. Specifics, with specifics.
So next year, so the way I understand is next year they're gonna have
Next year,
Juneteenth off. But this year, they're just gonna take a day.
Work it out amongst yourselves and take a day where you feel you need to.
There you go. So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to allow the highway department to have a floating holiday for this year for Juneteenth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Any other business at this time? No?
you hear a
Good.
mouse run across the floor.
All right, date of our next meeting, July 13th, 2022. If it's possible, maybe in July, we can have just the one.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes up between now and then.
That's a good goal. That's a good goal.
Okay, it's kind of in the middle of the month anyway.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Good meeting.